Hi, my name is Courtney Brown, and today Summit County, YES, or the Youth Empowerment Society of Summit County, is partnering with CTC, Communities That Care, to connect Summit County residents with key leaders and community members. We are posting short videos to introduce and connect all community members. Today we are speaking with Jason from Open Space and Trails, and we're just going to ask a few short questions. Jason, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me here today.
Of course. So the first question we have for you are, what are some of the best practices for using trails during these times and to ensure safety?
Sure. So getting outside, using trails, trailheads, and open spaces, it's a great way to sort of take care of your mental health as well as your physical health. But the way to conduct yourself really is to keep others' public health your number one priority. You know, for a lot of people, what's happening right now is life and death. So it's important to keep that in mind when we're out there. So really go outside, but be cautious. You know, don't go outside if you're sick or you've been in contact with sick people. Keep a safe distance. You know, really a minimum of 6 feet is the guidance, but I like to leave a little more distance than that. Avoid large groups and gatherings. You know, right now our public health orders, require some of that. Also consider avoiding, avoiding busy areas and busy times of day. You know, think about our rec pass system being really busy on Saturdays in the middle of the day. So maybe try to get out there when it isn't so busy, you know, midweek if you can, or early in the morning or in the afternoon or evening. And bring hand sanitizer, you know, if you can't wash your hands, but it's important to keep your hands clean, especially if you're, if you touch your face or that sort of thing. So you want to try to avoid having dirty hands. Stay close to home. You know, don't travel long distances to recreate right now. You know, we live here in Summit County, and obviously we're pretty lucky. We've got a lot of great trails and trailheads in our rec pass system here locally. So try to stay close. Also keep it chill. You know, don't do anything too dangerous right now. It's not a good time to go out and go on some big adventure because you don't ultimately want to land in the hospital if something does happen to you or get hurt. You know, that takes away from the resources that our community needs to put towards addressing the pandemic. And it's also not a good place to be right now. You don't want to expose yourself to other sick people. And then lastly, just be a good steward of our trails and trailheads and open spaces. If they're marked closed, they're usually closed for a reason. And it's for safety reasons or so they're not damaged. So, if it's closed, try to stay out. Definitely know that our goal is to open our trails and open spaces to the community whenever and wherever we can safely.
Awesome, thank you. Another question we have for you is, what do you think is the best way to figure out which trails or trailheads in Summit County are open and accessible?
Sure. So there's a lot of land management agencies in Summit County. Most of our land is managed by the White River National Forest and Dillon Ranger District. So that's a good place to start. They've got a good website. So definitely cruise over to their website and check out what they post there. They try to keep that updated regularly. But also Colorado Parks and Wildlife manages a lot of our state trails and campgrounds. We don't have any state campgrounds in Summit County, but it's also a good resource if you're maybe tuning in from somewhere outside of Summit County. Our website at Summit County Open Space and Trails is not as good, but we try to keep it updated with what's open. And right now, everything is open unless it's marked closed. So keep that in mind. And then Breckenridge Open Space and Trails, they have a pretty good website that talks about their trails and open spaces and what's happening on their lands. So the websites have a lot of good info. You can also call the agencies. Just keep in mind that because we're not fully staffed right now in the office, there might not be someone there to answer the phone. But if you leave a message, typically somebody will call you back, or there might even be a recorded line that talks about what's open and what's closed.
Awesome, thank you. And then just the last question for you is, do you recommend wearing a face mask while hiking and or biking?
I do, because that's the best practice right now that's being directed to us from our public health officials. Really, wearing a face mask protects those around us more than it protects ourselves. So we may be sick and not know it. And if we're breathing heavily, like if we're exerting ourselves, we could be spreading that to people who might be in proximity to us. So I don't wear it all the time. I wear it if I am in a situation where I need to pass somebody or they're passing me and I can't adequately distance from them. So I like to wear a buff, like this, which I can kind of raise up and down as I'm riding or running. And that way I don't have to have it on all the time. If I don't need it, I can kind of raise it and lower it as I need to. And that just makes it a lot easier to be out there. But yeah, definitely wear a face mask. Think about everyone around us as much as ourselves, and protecting, our friends, our family, our neighbors, and our visitors. So yeah, definitely wear a face covering right now if you're out there on the trails.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for participating in this interview, and that was definitely very helpful.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me here today.
Of course.